I'm Tony Crowe, Post School Commissioner at the present time, intend to be for another 4 years. We started off with 3 other opponents. We're down to 1 now, Mr. Stover and myself. And I think that anybody that throws their hat in the ring and says, here I am, they're to be commended. Somebody needs to recognize these people have thrown their hat in the ring, they're willing to fight for us, they're willing to fight for the job. Sometimes I ask myself why. Nevertheless, we're going back into it again. Since I've been in office, it's not a matter of what I will do. You know exactly what I'll do. You know, you may not like my politics, but when I went in on a platform telling you what I would do, there's been no change from then till now. Now, I have found out that when I went in, there's other issues in the county other than what I went in on on my platform, and I've had to deal with them. And they're more important to me now than what is supposedly the major issue. And I made this statement before. We talk about the airport, we can talk about economic development, we can talk about a lot of things. But when you don't have water in your home to flush the toilet, you got a problem. And I've said this over and over again. Once I got in and was told, we live on Overlook Trail, we have no water. And I thought, surely you jest. When you tell me I go to church out at Mount Moriah, and on Sundays, we don't have water unless somebody hauls it in and puts it in a dry well. This county has some issues that nobody wants to look at. They want to look at moving the airport along. To me, the airport, like I said, is way down here. Water in your house where you can shower and wash your clothes is way up here. So what our politicians, as a rule, from 40 years ago, moving forward, did not look at what we needed to look at. We needed to look at our infrastructure. We don't have sewer for economic development movements here that should be here on our main roads. We got to have sewer. Sprouts is a grocery store, a lot of you are familiar with it. They asked me one time, where's your sewer in this area? There's not any. Well, they're going to close the books. We can't operate off of a septic tank.
Right.
So this is a problem that people want to say, well, it's the commissioner's problem that we don't have economic development. Yes, somewhat it is. If you got commissioners who are not willing to bite the bullet and put sewer where sewer needs to be, water where it needs to be, sure, your economics are going to be bad. You're not going to bring big industry, and you're not going to bring big shopping centers here. You're not going to. When I was at ACCG school, the first time I went, I sat at the table with 159 counties, six one time. I kept hearing, the question was asked, what do you want to do when you take office? Economic development, creating jobs. I sat there for 3 days listening to this. Economic development and creating jobs. I've been self-employed my whole life. I started a business in order to feed my family. My intention was not to create jobs. However, I did in the private sector. At one time I had 22 employees. But my deal was I was trying to make a living for me. That's how jobs are created in the private sector. It's my job to make it easier and get out of the way. You don't create jobs in my position. You don't go out finding jobs for people. So I asked the question sitting at this table, would somebody please tell me how you're going to create a job? It becomes silent. Everybody was looking at each other. Economic development and creating a job. This started in Obama's administration when it was in the tank. And he grabbed a hold of it and said, I'm going to create jobs. I'm going to create jobs. When people grab hold of it, they believe it. It still works today where we'll say, I'm going to create a job. There's only one creator. Ronald Reagan once said, government is not the solution, it's the problem. And it truly is. Now, in running for office, I've learned another thing. I told the last time I was here, when it's time to run for office, it's not only election time, but it's lying time. Myself, Todd, and Vernon have been attacked in a brutal way. Unreal. Nothing but blatant lies. When they tell you, the public, send out things saying, look, these guys don't even pay their taxes. And the rate of theirs, I think it said 3.9 or 39%. I've never been late on my taxes. Not one time. Why would they do that? And I'm wondering what we, myself and Todd, are looking forward to in the near future. The last time I ran for office, I had 2 news reporters wind up in my yard with cameras. They were there because a brochure had been handed out, a little notification that I had never served in the military, never. It's easy to lay out a DD 214 and say, here it is. That was easy, but it hurt. And I don't know what's coming down the road in the future, what kind of attack they're going to make on myself or Todd. But it's evident, they want this board turned over, and there's a reason. They've been somewhere in the number of $165,000 worth of advertisement to flip this board. If they get one more office, they're going to go back to what they were 4 years ago and plus. So I'm asking you guys to weigh everything that you hear. Whatever's coming, take it with a grain of salt. Look at it. Realize what we're dealing with. I made a little video not too long ago when I referenced them as being sick. They're sick people. I've never run a negative campaign. I've never attacked my opponents. I've always stood on my own merits. I've been in office now 3.5 years. And I did everything that I told the public I'd do when I went in. It hadn't always been easy. And when you got a board that sits there that's a go along, to get along kind of board, you got a bad board. You need to know that. You need to look at the other guy sometimes and say, look, I don't agree with you. So every time you see a board that's go along to get along, you don't make it a good board. I'm running for re-election. I'm looking for you guys to come back July 24th. Early voting, I think, starts July 2nd. I don't want to thank you for listening to me. Has anybody got any questions? I'll answer them before I sit down.
Okay, how are you going to bring, like you said, water to the places that need it? I wasn't aware about the sewer issue.
Okay, when I went into office, I had a town hall meeting. I had a husband and wife come and say, Mr. Crowe, we don't have water at Mount Moriah Church. Boom, I didn't know that. I said, pardon me? There's no water. I said, why come there's no water? We don't have water. The wells went dry. I said, wells? How many you got? She said, 3. So I said, well, how do y'all have water on Sunday mornings? We have a guy bring a tank, pump water into the well, to flush the toilets. We hand out bottled water. We're worried about over here at the airport when these people don't have water on Sunday. So I immediately jumped straight up in the air, went to Lord Ashmore, and started fighting to have $500,000 a year set aside to extend water lines. Most of our water lines have been extended on the backs of the developers in the county. We had Overlook Trail where we had one lady come to me and said, Tony, my husband died. We have 1 well, 2 houses. I depend on the rent next door in order to live. I just get Social Security. I can't live, so I don't use the well. I said, what do you do? She said, I go to Carterville to my sister's house. I wash clothes and take a shower. We're talking about 2018. Don't come to me and talk to me about economic development until you take care of the people that live here. Yeah. We can talk all we want about things, but we got people in this county. Joey Pike, he has a wife, 6 kids, and a grandbaby. He said, Tony, I got a water hole run from my neighbor's well up to my house. Well, I got on it. As we're speaking this month, Overlook Trail will have water. The water lines are being run. I just got Mount Moriah Church Road. I got it approved through the Water Advisory Board about 2 weeks ago. They're in the planning stages now to design the water line. Pine Ridge Path, I got a little tongue lashing about that because one of the people on that road gave me a campaign contribution, and somebody said something about it. But guess what? The guy that gave me the campaign contribution has had water for 8 years. He has county water. So it wasn't like, and he's the one that moved it along. I didn't move it along, and I'm grateful he did. But we have roads in the county, people in the county. One lady lives on Mount Moriah Road. Her husband died. He was always bringing water home. She literally moved out of her house. She's not there now. So we have issues, but that's the way I found out. It was told to me by the citizens. And when it happened, I didn't stop, and I haven't stopped as of yet. I will continue as long as I'm in office to supply the people with the needs that they have, the necessities of life. There's nothing you have in your home today you can't do without except water. So, any more questions?
So where is the water going to come from? Is it going to come from the reservoir?
Eventually it will, but all of our water will eventually come from the reservoir. It's not ready yet, but the water, we have water lines within a certain distance of these areas. So we're tapping onto that water and running it down their roads, and that's where it's coming from. Like out here, I'm sure we got water, but let's say the next road down didn't have water, you tap onto the main out here and come in. So it's a matter of paying for it. And Lori has been so gracious as to work with me, and it was like pulling teeth for a while to get that $500,000 a year set aside. But it is set aside now, we are using it. I tapped a little bit into the general fund not too long ago, not too bad, because Tabitha keeps me in line. She said, no, I had one person in the county said, we don't want to get into the general fund, I'm not going to mention the name here. I said, why? I said, well, might be something important come along we need that for. Really? So, what's more important than water?
Nothing.
Okay. Any more questions?
If they have more, Tony, stick around and let them ask afterwards.
I'm here, anybody wants to prod and poke at me, but y'all beware. What's coming down the pipe, we don't know. We talk about outside interest in this county. I'm gonna get this out, this bottom. There's an outside interest that comes way up north down here. There's an outside interest. What's their interest? It's not you. I'm gonna promise you that. Who's got money invested out there? Nobody wants to say. Delta gets beat up on a regular basis. I have never ever talked to Delta. Somebody said, I know for a fact he took money from Delta. I got proof. Bring it up here. Right here. It don't exist. Delta is one of the largest employers of our county citizens. Over 800 people from this county drive there every day to work. Why don't they move down there? Because they like it here. Quality of life here is what matters. Let's focus on quality of life instead of where you go work. I worked all over the place my whole life. And when I get them to go to work, come home, I thank the Lord, I'm grateful. But where I live, when I get on my back deck, that matters. Thank you.